feel so guilty. I made this small mistake and my husband doesn't even touch me anymore. Hello, Reddit. I've been a long-time lurker on this app, but I've never posted anything until now. If someone had told me 3 months ago that this would be my life, I wouldn't have believed them. I would have called them a liar. But now, I'm faced with the reality that I've ruined my home and marriage. I'm tired of the way things are between me and my husband, and I desperately want things to go back to how they were before. I want my husband to forgive me and move on, and for things to be just as they were. I'm hoping that by posting here, I'll get some insight and advice on what to do. Any advice you guys can provide me with will be honestly appreciated. What did I do, you might be wondering? Well, I kissed someone else on a night out with my friends, and my husband found out about it. Ever since then, he has not touched me. Here's some backstory. My name is Taylor, and I am a 25-year-old woman. I've been with my husband Eric, who is a 24-year-old man, for about 2 years now. It was a whirlwind romance. We met at a friend's birthday party about 3 years ago, and we were instantly smitten with each other. We exchanged contacts and decided to keep in touch. We went on our first date 2 days after we met at the party, and then in a few weeks we were dating. A few months later, I had moved in with Eric the moment my lease expired. Eric was from a well-to-do family, while I came from a family so poor there were times we had to rely on food stamps. So things were a lot easier for him than they were for me. Barely a year after dating, we got married. Eric's parents paid for the wedding on the basis that I signed a prenup. I didn't mind. I loved Eric, and I agreed. The parents, of course, went with their promise and sponsored the wedding, and it was absolutely perfect. Eric's love language is giving and acts of service, so he loves gifting me stuff, from expensive jewelry to the warmest handmade or thoughtful gifts. Eric really gives it all. He also loves acts of service, like I said earlier, and will give me a massage when he sees that I'm stressed or tired. He will cook and even took on about 90% of the house chores because he loves doing them. Despite that, he pulls in 100% of the income in our household. I've said earlier that Eric is from a wealthy family, so the moment he graduated, his family set him up really well in life. Why am I telling you all this? Just so you understand the perspective and how much freedom I had. Everything was done by Eric, and he did everything willingly, and we both enjoyed it. I'm also telling you this so you understand how much of a mistake I made. So all in all, our marriage was really good. Our sex life was really active. We made sure to go on date nights every Friday, just before the start of the weekend. We didn't have any kids yet, but we definitely wanted some. Our marriage wasn't just a storybook romance. It was real life, messy and beautiful. Eric and I were like two puzzle pieces that just fit together perfectly. We had our share of ups and downs, but we always found our way back to each other, stronger than before. What I loved most about our relationship was how we supported each other. Eric was always there to lift me up, to encourage me to chase my dreams. And I did the same for him, being his rock when things got tough. We had big plans for the future, like starting a family and growing old together. But then, I messed up. I made a mistake that is threatening to tear us apart. And now I'm left wondering if our love is strong enough to survive this. Eric and I were like two sides of a coin, each with our own unique traits that somehow blended perfectly together. Eric was the quiet one, the introvert who found peace in the stillness of our home. He was content with a small circle of friends and found comfort in their familiar company. I, on the other hand, was the social butterfly, always buzzing with energy and seeking out new connections. I thrived on human interaction and loved the lively chatter of gatherings and the warmth of friendship. Despite our differences, our relationship flourished. Eric's calm demeanor balanced out my outgoing nature, and my enthusiasm brought a spark of excitement to his life. That didn't always mean that things were always good between us. Eric didn't like most of my friends, especially the new ones, and he sometimes didn't like it when I went out, especially without him. I wouldn't call him controlling because he wasn't, and I now realize that he had a valid reason for not liking my friends. Eric isn't a social butterfly, like I've said before, so a lot of times I had to go out without him, which he didn't like most times because he liked being near me. 3 weeks back, we went to Eric's sister's wedding. It was not in town, but at a beautiful destination. The whole event was just stunning. I was one of the bridesmaids because Eric's sister and I are really close. The place where the wedding took place was absolutely breathtaking. It had such lovely views and a peaceful vibe that made everything feel magical. The ceremony itself was full of love and happiness, and you could really see how much the couple adored each other. Being part of the wedding was such a special experience. It made me think about love and family, and being there reminded me of the love I shared with Eric and how important it is to cherish it. The wedding was really nice, like I said before. Everything went smoothly, and it was just beautiful. We had a lot of fun celebrating with Eric's sister and her new husband. When we got back to town about 2 days later, some of our friends invited us out for a night out. Eric and I don't share a lot of the same friends, but we have a few mutual ones who invited us to join them for a few drinks. Eric was feeling pretty tired from all the socializing at the wedding, so he decided to stay home and recharge. He told me I could go if I wanted to, so I decided to go out with our friends without him. He was cool with that and just asked me to text him if I needed a ride home. Since I was planning on drinking, I didn't drive, and my friend picked me up. We went to the pub, and it was a blast. More friends showed up, and we had a great time chatting, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. It was a nice break from the usual routine, and I was getting really glad that I went out. As the drinks kept flowing, we got a bit more adventurous and decided to play Spin the Bottle. Normally, I wouldn't have gone for it, but my friends convinced me, saying I'd be a killjoy if I didn't join in. So, against my better judgment, I agreed. For a few rounds, the bottle didn't land on me, but then it did, and it landed on one of my guy friends. I hesitated at first, but I didn't want to seem like I was too uptight, so I went ahead with it. I figured everyone else was married too, and they were okay with it, so why shouldn't I be? After my turn, the game started to escalate. My friends began daring each other to do more and more outrageous things, like kissing for longer or doing some pretty suggestive moves. Luckily, the bottle didn't land on me again, so I just sat back and watched the craziness unfold. The night ended with a lot of us feeling pretty wasted, and my friend had to drive me back home. When I got home, my husband seemed a bit surprised at how much I had drunk, but he didn't say much about it. Instead, he made me some tea and then tucked me into bed. The next morning, I woke up feeling a bit hungover, but my husband was there, which was a pleasant thing. He told me he didn't have to go to work that day. He then told me he would make breakfast for me, and I was honestly touched by his thoughtfulness. I stayed in bed for a few more minutes, and I couldn't shake off the events of the previous night. I felt guilty about the kiss during the Spin the Bottle game. I didn't want to keep secrets from my husband, but at the same time, I felt like it wasn't something I should tell him. It was just a kiss, and it didn't mean anything. Besides, I was drunk too, and it wasn't like I had planned for it to happen. I wrestled with the idea of telling my husband for a while before finally deciding not to. I wanted to put it behind me and move on. I was just thankful that it hadn't gone any further than a kiss. I knew that some of my other married friends had done much worse things while they were drunk, and I was pretty sure they wouldn't tell their partners either. I also made a mental note to not drink as much as I did ever again. The hangover and the guilt were just not worth it. I ate breakfast with my husband, and we cuddled up to watch a movie after the movie was done. My husband decided to go play some video games. I'm not a huge fan of video games, so I usually just let him do his thing. I decided to just go lay in bed and check my phone. I knew a lot of my friends would have texted me, especially since we had such a wild night. I opened up the WhatsApp group chat only to see that one of my less thoughtful friends had recorded everything that happened and uploaded a lengthy video to our group chat. My husband is part of this group chat, even though he's not very active in it because he's more of a quiet person. I was horrified when I opened the chat and saw the video. It showed a close-up of me kissing my friend, and it wasn't just me. There were other friends in the video doing questionable things too. I assume some of my friends thought it would be funny to show us how hungover we were the night before, but it wasn't funny at all. Many of us in the video were furious at the friend who posted it and demanded she delete it immediately. Thankfully, she complied when she realized we didn't find it amusing. I had to send her a voice note explaining that I didn't want my partner to see the video. I thought that was the end of it after she deleted the video from the group chat. I hadn't seen my husband pick up his phone, and I didn't think many people from our group chat were online at that moment, so not many had seen it. However, it turned out that some of our friends, including my husband's best friend who was in the group chat, had seen the video and saved it before it was deleted. After the video incident, things took a turn for the worse. My husband's dumb best friend, who I never really liked, decided it would be a great idea to send the video to my husband. I had no clue about this until my husband stormed into our bedroom, video in hand, ready to confront me. I was shocked. I thought once my friend deleted the video, that would be the end of it. I felt terrible and wished I hadn't gone out that night. I tried explaining to my husband that I was drunk and it was just a silly game, but he wasn't buying it. The more I tried to explain, the more furious he became. My husband looked so furious and deeply hurt. He expressed that this incident reinforced his lack of trust in both me and my friends. He called me stupid for drinking so much and said he didn't know if he could ever forgive me. He expressed disgust at my actions, saying I should have known better. I was devastated. I felt like I had let him down and betrayed his trust. I tried to explain that I was sorry and that it was a mistake, but he wouldn't listen. He was so angry, and his words cut really deep. I couldn't stop crying. I felt so overwhelmed with regret and shame. I honestly couldn't help but feel a surge of anger towards my husband's best friend for sending the video and the friend who had recorded it. They had betrayed my trust and had caused so much pain and damage to my marriage. The whole situation was a literal mess, and I didn't know how we would ever recover from it. After the confrontation, my husband packed a bag and said he needed some time to think. He told me he didn't want to see me right then and that it would be better if he left. I was at a loss for words. I didn't know how to convince him to stay, so I just nodded in resignation. He left, and I later learned that he had gone to stay at his best friend's house. He ended up staying there for a total of 3 days. During that time, I tried everything I could think of to coax him back home. I sent him numerous messages, but he remained distant. I couldn't bring myself to involve his family in our issues. They were staunchly against divorce, and I knew they would have strong opinions if they found out about the kiss. However, I confided in my elder brother, who I'm extremely close to, and he helped by texting my husband, urging him to come home. After 3 days, Eric finally came back home. He seemed calmer, but there was still a noticeable tension between us. It was clear that the incident had deeply affected our relationship, and it would take time to rebuild the trust that had been broken, but I honestly thought we would weather through it. I noticed that my husband had become really distant. He started sleeping in the guest room, and no matter how hard I tried, he refused to come back into our bedroom. It was like a physical barrier had formed between us, and no amount of pleading or reasoning could bridge the gap. Not only did he physically distance himself, but he also emotionally withdrew. He stopped doing all the little things he used to do before. He no longer offered me massages after a long day. He stopped cooking for me, and he seemed to bury himself in work, taking on even more hours than before. It was heartbreaking to see the man I loved and shared my life with pulling away from me. I felt lost and alone, unsure of how to reach him or how to mend our fractured relationship. His distance only served to deepen the sense of guilt and regret I felt over the events that had led us to this point. I tried so hard to reach out to my husband, to bridge the growing gap between us, but it felt like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. It was in this moment that I realized just how much my husband had been the one trying in our relationship. He had been the one reaching out to me, doing everything he could to keep our connection strong. I had taken his efforts for granted, never fully appreciating all that he did for me. Now that he had stopped doing the housework and other things he used to do, I realized just how much he had been carrying on his shoulders. It was like he had been the bridge in our relationship, and now that he had refused to play that role anymore, there was a massive, unbridgeable gap between us. I tried to step up and take on more responsibilities around the house, but it was a daunting task. Our house was huge, and the chores seemed never-ending. I tried sleeping in the guest room with him, hoping to show him that I was there for him, but he refused, telling me to go back to my own room. He told me he still wasn't over what I had done and that he needed time and space. But how long would he need? And how could I make things right again? I am consumed with guilt and sorrow, and I am desperate to make amends. I started packing lunches for him and doing other things I had never done before, hoping to show him how sorry I was. But nothing seems to work. And that's why I'm here, Reddit. I've heard this app can be incredibly helpful, and I'm wondering if there's anything I can do to bridge the gap between me and my husband. I'm terrified that things will remain this way forever, and I don't want that. My husband is no longer the thoughtful, loving, quiet man he used to be. He's become cold and distant, and it feels like I'm living with a stranger. It's like he's no longer my husband, but just a roommate I've become acquainted with. It's heartbreaking, and I don't know what to do. I'm scared that if things don't change, we'll just keep growing apart until there's nothing left of our relationship. I want to fix things, to get back to how we used to be, but I don't know where to start. How can I make him see that I'm sorry and that I want to make things right? Any advice would be really appreciated. Update. Hello Reddit, it's been a while. Many of you may remember me as the woman who came here seeking advice because my marriage was falling apart after I kissed someone else while drunk. I honestly didn't think I would be back to update this post, as I posted here in a moment of desperation, seeking guidance. I didn't know what else to do, so I turned to this community. It's been 2 months since I first posted, and I've received numerous messages asking for an update, so here it is. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone who offered advice and support. Your words meant a lot to me during a difficult time. Many of you suggested that I talk to my husband, believing that communication would help us work through our issues. So here's the update. For the next few weeks, things remained unchanged. My husband continued to be distant and unresponsive, as if he had erased me from his life. It was heartbreaking to see him change so drastically. I knew something had to be done, so I decided to have a serious conversation with him. I told him that we couldn't go on like this and that I wanted us to work things out. He admitted that he had been struggling with his feelings and wasn't sure if he could ever forgive me. Hearing those words shattered me. I loved him deeply, and the thought of losing him was unbearable. I suggested couples counseling as a last effort to save our marriage. My husband was hesitant at first, as he wasn't keen on therapy, but he agreed to give it a try. However, he also expressed that he felt it might be better for us to divorce. I was devastated by his words, but I couldn't ignore his feelings. I love him too much to force him to stay if he feels it's best to part ways. So I agreed to the divorce on the condition that we first try counseling. He agreed, and we began the process of seeking professional help. However, during this time, he told me that watching the video of me kissing someone else had changed everything for him. It was as if all the love and attraction he had felt for me had disappeared in an instant. He apologized for any pain he had caused me, but he also made it clear that he couldn't forgive me. As much as it hurts, I have to accept his decision. Attending couples counseling was a profound experience for both of us. It opened our eyes to many issues that had been simmering beneath the surface. During our sessions, my husband shared that he had always felt insecure about my social life and the friends I kept. This revelation cut deep because he had never expressed these feelings to me before. If he had, I would have made a concerted effort to address his concerns. However, it seemed that his silence had created a divide that was now difficult to bridge. He also reiterated the impact of watching the video of me kissing someone else. He explained that seeing that moment shattered his image of me and caused him immense pain. He said it was as if a part of his heart had been broken irreparably. Furthermore, my husband expressed feeling like he had always been the one putting in the effort in our relationship. He felt that he was constantly the initiator, the planner, the one driving the relationship forward. He mentioned that he often felt unappreciated and that his love for me was not reciprocated in the same way. Hearing these words was incredibly painful because deep down, I knew they were true. I had taken my husband's efforts for granted, assuming that he enjoyed taking the lead in our relationship. I now realized that my lack of effort and initiative had contributed to the strain between us. I loved my husband deeply, but I had failed to show it in the ways that mattered most to him. I had mistaken his actions as a preference rather than a necessity. It was a harsh reality to confront. I apologized to my husband from the depths of my heart and begged for his forgiveness. I explained to him that I had misunderstood his actions, believing that he enjoyed taking the lead in our relationship. I had assumed that he liked being the initiator and the planner, and as a result, I had not made the effort to reciprocate in the same way. After pouring my heart out and promising to change, my husband thanked me for my efforts. But he made it clear that he couldn't just forget about the kiss. He was still set on getting a divorce. I had hoped that by being sincere and showing him how much I regretted my mistake, he'd reconsider. But he was adamant. I do not know how things will play in court, but I have decided that I will do everything I can to make the divorce process as smooth as possible for him. It's a difficult and painful reality to face, but I have to respect his feelings and choices. My husband has given me a week to leave the house. That is more than enough time for me, and I'm just glad that we are going through everything as amicably as possible. In conclusion, I want to thank everyone who has supported me through this journey. Your kindness and understanding have meant the world to me. I will always cherish the good times I had with my husband and the love we shared. It's a heartbreaking end to our marriage, but I believe it's the right decision for both of us. Also, don't cheat and for your mar.
My husband dumped me on Christmas because he didn't want me to wear my revealing outfit. It's sometimes really funny how some men like to control what their women wear while they would look and turn with the woman who is wearing skimpy or revealing outfits at the mall. I once asked my husband why he doesn't like me to wear revealing outfits, but when we see girls or other women at the mall, he looks at them with admiration. How fair is that? Men sometimes think just because we are married to them, we have to be submissive with everything. They want to change to be, yes sir, okay sir kind of women. forgetting that they actually found us wearing these revealing outfits and fell in love with us with those outfits. Now that we are married, I have to wear like a granny. I have to wear something that I do not like and not comfortable with, just because I respect my husband and I'm submissive to him. It's really surprising and shocking how my husband, or must I say my ex-husband, decided to just dump me and divorce me just because I was wearing a revealing outfit on a Christmas day. My husband was controlling, but I had never thought we would actually find ourselves in a situation where I get dumped just because my husband was not comfortable with me wearing something that makes me feel comfortable. Do you think it was really fair for him to dump me because of a lousy revealing outfit? I, Mina, was tired of my controlling husband. He dictated everything in our relationship, from the way I dressed to the friends I could have. I knew that if I wanted to break free, I needed to do something drastic. As much as I loved him so much, but the toxicity in our marriage was too much. One had to do something about it. I didn't want to break up with my husband, but I wanted him to change his controlling behavior and be the man I fell in love with for once. Our relationship had started off with love and promise, but as time went on, Benjamin's controlling nature began to emerge. Benjamin, my husband or my ex-husband, male 37, and I, female 32, met at the mall in Philadelphia. I was going with my friends. Well, that day my friends and I had decided to just go out to get some fresh air. Since it was a very hot day, we were wearing short outfits that revealed our flawless skin. So when we went to have our lunch at some restaurant, name withheld for personal reasons, Benjamin came in with his friends also. My eyes got drawn to him. The way he was laughing somehow got to me without him even approaching me. When I looked at him, I saw my dream guy. The kind of guy that I had wanted to spend my lifetime with. He was so perfect. His perfect body and cleanliness took the girls' attention. Little did I know that God had his own plans. I would sometimes think of the verse in the Bible that says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you." I forgot how it continues, but God really did have a plan for me, a plan to make me prosper. Because that day I kept staring at Benjamin, until he also looked where I was. I think he sensed that someone was staring at him. We had a staring contest that lasted about 2 minutes, because I was brought back to reality by my friends poking me, saying I had been staring at the guy for too long and they had been calling me. Well, I didn't hear them because my attention was on the handsomeness that I had seen at the restaurant. I actually developed a love crush on a stranger, imagine. So as my friends and I were still sitting at the restaurant waiting for our order, one of the strangers, Benjamin's friend, came to our table. He greeted us and told me that his friend had been staring at me and he would like to get my number. At first, I was a bit hesitant, but I eventually gave him my number, which came as a curse in disguise. My heart was full of joy because I stood a chance to communicate with the handsome stranger, not knowing that I was actually digging my own graveyard. Days passed and the handsome Ben, I called him that, texted me and asked to take me out. Yes, I was happy, but he wasn't as romantic as I thought he would be. His personality didn't match his appearance. It was totally different. But nonetheless, I fell in love with him. I also don't know how, but I did, and I somehow regretted it after he had shown me his very true colors, few months after we got married. I was a vibrant and free-spirited soul, while Ben was rigid and domineering. I think me being free-spirited came to Benjamin as somehow a threat. I don't how, but the way he was acting made me think that maybe he had some insecurity tendencies. I loved to express myself through fashion and enjoyed experimenting with different styles. Even though my controlling husband, Ben, had always struggled with my sense of self-expression, especially when it came to my choice of clothing. I had never thought or seen myself as a person who would actually be submissive to a man and somehow let a man change the way I am and the way I wear. I love revealing clothes. They make me feel comfortable and more of myself. But my husband wanted me to change and be what he wants. For what? Anyway, Benjamin and I started dating after I think 6 or 7 months of being friends. I won't lie and say I was not enjoying his company because I was. He was a very smart person, funny yet reserved. He had big dreams for his uprising real estate company. Our future goals and plans collided, you know? We had big dreams for us and our future. I loved how supportive he was towards my dreams and our relationship. About 4 or 5 months later, he proposed, and for obvious reasons, I said yes. Benjamin was so sweet and humble. Yes, he would show me his insecure side, but it was not extreme as it became after we got married. It was like he was somehow obsessed with me and how or what I wear. I didn't know what his problem was because, he found me wearing this way. I didn't understand why he would just want me or expect me to change just to please him and his image. Benjamin started being very controlling and manipulative to a point that I somehow find it scary because I didn't understand where he had gotten his behavior. I would sometimes think it was work stress or pressure, but no, it wasn't anything like that. His behavior continued up to a point that he wouldn't even try and hide it even if we were in public. What surprised me a lot was the fact that he was busy staring at the girls who were wearing short and revealing outfits. He would even zone out staring at them, and I wouldn't say anything about that. But to me, and he would complain, telling me that my clothes were for body sellers who didn't love themselves. He dictated everything in our relationship, from the way I dressed to the friends I could have. I knew that if I wanted to break free, I needed to do something drastic. So during winter holidays, we would have our families coming over either during Thanksgiving or Christmas, one of the holidays. That time, we had decided or planned to host a Christmas Day lunch since the previous year we were hosting for Thanksgiving. My husband, or must I say my ex-husband, was very happy that we would be hosting Christmas Day lunch. He loved Christmas days, plus he was born on the 25th of December on a Christmas Day, meaning we would be celebrating his birthday and Christmas Day. Christmas was just around the corner, and I had planned to wear a revealing outfit to the Christmas lunch. It wasn't too revealing, it just showed my boobs and thighs. It was a red dress that clung to my curves and showed off my legs. I knew it was revealing, but I also knew it would make a statement. It was the dress I saw at the mall and I fell in love with it, plus it was red, so I decided to rock it on Christmas Day. I was excited about the lunch. I would get to spend time with both my family and Ben's family, plus celebrating his birthday, which would be the first time celebrating his birthday in our house. Little did I know that my choice of attire would lead to a life-changing event. I couldn't believe it, As the day of Christmas and Benjamin's birthday approached, I carefully picked out my beautiful yet slightly revealing dress that made me feel glamorous. I wanted to surprise my husband on his big day and the day to spend with family. I wanted to be beautiful for him. I had hoped that he would love my dress and compliment me since it was long yet revealing a little. Everyone complimented me on my dress. My husband, on the other hand, just grew more and more upset. I was excited to show off my confidence and enjoy Christmas Day and my hubby's birthday with our loved ones. I believed that Christmas was the perfect occasion to express myself and showcase my unique style. However, when Benjamin saw my outfit, he became furious and insisted that I change into something more conservative. He actually confronted me and demanded that I change my outfit or not attend the Christmas gathering at all. Enraged by my choice of attire, Ben berated me, criticizing me for deciding to wear something revealing in front of our families and friends. He claimed it was inappropriate and disrespectful to him as my husband. I was taken aback by his sudden outburst, tried to reason with him, explaining that I should have the freedom to express myself and feel comfortable in my own skin. Feeling torn between my desire to express myself and my commitment to my marriage, I reluctantly agreed to change my outfit. But deep down, I couldn't shake off the feeling that my husband's controlling behavior was becoming suffocating. He literally humiliated me in front of our families and his friends. I was so hurt by the way he handled everything. He should have asked to speak to me aside, not to just burst and talk to me like I was a non-living factor. I was so disappointed in him. I didn't even know what his issue was because my dress was not extremely revealing. I went to the bedroom to change, which took much time to find a dress that would make Benjamin happy. So I decided on wearing a more modest dress, but my heart wasn't in it. I couldn't help but feel resentful towards Ben for stifling my individuality. As the day progressed, I noticed how confident and empowered the family's sisters and cousins looked during the celebration, embracing their unique styles. I just couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. As the day went on, the celebration was finished and people had started leaving. I made a decision that would change my life forever. I took off my conservative dress, revealing the outfit I had originally chosen. With newfound courage, I walked up to Ben and expressed my desire to be true to myself, even if it meant facing the consequences. Feeling trapped and suffocated by his controlling nature, I mustered up the courage to stand up for myself. I was tired of Benjamin's bullying and controlling tendencies. I firmly expressed that I should have the freedom to wear what made me feel comfortable and confident. I told him, well, more like reminding him that he had found me wearing revealing outfits, and he fell in love with me while I was wearing those revealing outfits, and he didn't have a problem with that up until we got married. I asked him if he would want to start changing me when we were married, and did not start when we were still in the dating phase. To my surprise, Ben's reaction was not what I had expected. Instead of understanding my perspective, he stormed out of the house, leaving me feeling both liberated and heartbroken. The following days were pretty tough for me as I navigated the aftermath of my decision. The weight of my broken marriage was heavy on my shoulders, but deep down, I knew I had made the right choice. I knew that when Ben came back, I would have lost him. I know he loved being respected as the man of the house and the fact that I had said all that in front of the family that was remaining. He surely felt disrespected and humiliated by me. It was just a matter of time till he told me what I had been expecting to hear. Later on, he came back from wherever he was coming from. When he came back at midnight, I had started to get worried about him because he wasn't the type of man that would go to clubs until midnight. Yes, he would go out with his friends for drinks, but he had never come back at midnight. So when he came back, he told me that we needed to talk about my behavior and the disrespect that I had shown in front of his family and mine. You know when they say, a drunk man never tells no lie because when they are drunk, they become their true self. Take that phrase seriously because as much as I didn't want to listen to Ben speaking to me while drunk, I had to. But Ben's controlling tendencies had reached the breaking point. He coldly declared that he could no longer be with someone who didn't adhere to his strict rules and expectations. On Christmas Day, when love and togetherness should have prevailed, he callously dumped me, leaving me heartbroken and alone. So he started telling me how much he loved me and how much he held me in high regards. But I had disappointed him. He continued telling me that even if he loved me, he wouldn't tolerate disrespect and humiliation from a woman. He kept blabbing up until he actually released the lump that he had been holding that made him speak in riddles for too long. He told me that he cannot be with me anymore. He believed that I would change my attitude and behavior and somehow become a wife to him. But instead, I got worse than ever. He furthered by saying that he cannot be with the woman who doesn't value and respects herself and her body. I just couldn't believe that he was actually dumping me for being myself and for the fact that I loved wearing revealing dresses. That day, he decided to go and sleep in a guest room, and I was left shuddered and heartbroken. As I sat on the couch in our bedroom, gazing out of the window, the twinkling lights and festive decorations only served to magnify my sense of sadness and disappointment. I couldn't understand how a relationship that had once held so much promise had crumbled under the weight of control and manipulation. I mean, I loved Ben so much, but why wouldn't he start looking at himself first? His controlling tendencies and wanting to choose everything for me as an issue. Then he would come back to me and dump me once he had recognized his own skeletons. One thing about Benjamin was that no matter how drunk he would get, he would always remember everything he had said and done the previous night when he was intoxicated. I had prayed that when the alcohol flushes out of his system, it would somehow flush out his memory also and forget about what he had said. But who was I fooling because I woke up late, since I had been crying the whole night? I found him making breakfast. He was the Benjamin that I had fallen in love with and got married to. So we ate our breakfast in an uncomfortable silence. During our breakfast, he just decided to drop a very huge bomb at me. He told me that he would be moving out and told me how much he was sorry for breaking my heart. But he cannot be with someone like me anymore. His words were like a sword in my heart. They stabbed me deep inside to a point that I didn't even see myself surviving without Ben. Yes, he was controlling and somehow an ass, but I had hoped that we would fight all of this and get help and get through all of the things that we were going through. I had never imagined that my husband would resort to such a drastic measure on Christmas Day. I didn't expect him to just come to such a hasty decision and divorce me. I thought he loved me and held me in high regards, but what he did didn't show that he loved me. I felt used, depressed, and heartbroken. I didn't even know what to do with myself. In the days that followed, I had experienced a mix of emotions. I felt a profound loss, mourning the end of my marriage and the shattered dreams of a happy future. But amidst the pain, I also felt a glimmer of liberation. I realized that I deserved better than a partner who sought to control and suppress me. No matter how much I loved him, he didn't deserve my patience. Besides, love alone is never enough, especially if one is never happy. Over time, I discovered a newfound strength within myself. I had decided to just rebuild my life without the control and toxicity of my ex-husband. I surrounded myself with supportive friends and family who embraced me for who I actually was and encouraged me to be true to myself. With their support, I learned to love and accept myself fully. I had sought therapy to work through the emotional scars left by the controlling relationship, and gradually I regained my sense of self-worth and independence. So I pursued my passions with unwavering determination. I learned that true happiness lies in embracing one's authentic self, even if it means losing someone who couldn't accept me for who I was. I also discovered my own strength and resilience. I learned to embrace my individuality, learning to love and accept myself fully. So as I moved forward, I vowed to never allow anyone to dictate my choices or diminish my self-confidence again. I became an advocate for self-expression and empowerment, using my own experiences to help others break free from toxic dynamics. I know that my story serves as a reminder of the importance of healthy boundaries and mutual respect in relationships. It highlights the devastating impact of control and manipulation, and the courage it takes to walk away from such toxic dynamics. Ultimately, Sarah's journey towards self-discovery and empowerment became the catalyst for a brighter, more authentic future. I do not want any pity or whatsoever. I just want more clarification about what I have gone through. I just want to know if it was the right decision that I had taken or decided upon to not fight Ben when he dumped and divorced me. I mean, we had shared a lot and our love was too good to be true in public, while he was a control freak in our space. And another thing, he couldn't even hide his controlling tendencies in front of our families and friends on Christmas Day. He literally busted on me like I had murdered someone or like I was a naughty child that broke his favorite watch. I want to hear from you. Redditors, what should I have done? Yes, I had hopes that he would eventually change and become the man I had fallen in love with. I thought he would eventually realize that he was the one with the problem and try to change it with me on his side, supporting him as his wife. I had spoken with him a lot about his behavior and begged him to at least talk to a therapist so he would be able to take out whatever that he had and get help. Instead, he would just brush everything off and dismiss my opinion like it was nothing. I still think he took a drastic decision to divorce me because I had done nothing wrong. The only wrong I had done was being myself, wearing something that made him uncomfortable to a point that he couldn't even hide his tendencies from his own friends and family. While I don't think I made a bad decision by not fighting for Ben and our marriage, but I felt like I needed to find myself, and become the person that I had always been, a person who didn't live in a ruled situation whereby I would find myself not being comfortable with being me. I am the person who made rules for myself and never allowed anyone or anything to change that. I lived my life for me without looking for validation from others. But when I fell in love with Ben, all of that changed. I lost myself. I became his puppet, his submissive wife. I followed his rules and did everything the way he wanted to. All because of love and being committed to the relationship, even though it was very much toxic. But I stayed and held on to the hot steel even when it had started to burn my skin. It's not easy being in a relationship whereby you have to compromise yourself just because you want to make your partner happy. It has never worked like that. I know that some would be surprised if I were to say that I still love my ex-husband, and I miss him so much every day. My heart wanted me to fight for our relationship and find a common solution to the problem. But why try to help a person who doesn't need help? It was like he was somehow possessed by a controlling demon, so when it was an active mode of controlling him, he would want to be in control also. Benjamin was like a person who had multiple personality disorder, even though I can't and couldn't confirm it. But the way he was doing things, his manipulative and controlling tendencies seemed like he was pushed by something or someone to do it, to satisfy it. One thing I regret about myself was that I didn't or never gave myself enough time to learn more about Benjamin. I mean, it didn't take us too long to get married, from being friends to being boyfriend and girlfriend, to being husband and wife. All of those stages happened within 1 year, if I am not mistaken. Everything happened too fast, and I was blindly in love to notice anything on our dating stage. So please tell me, what should I really do, or how should I have dealt with the whole situation, because it was not healthy, Not to me only, but to himself also and his future partner. Please advise me.